According to a study that was referenced in this clickbaity article that I didn't read, ChatGPT is making us dumber, and in today's video, my goal is to prove this premise right. So I asked Sam Altman's plagiarism machine to give me 5 stocks that'll 10x in 5 years. Its picks weren't surprising, but before I share them with you, it's time for my obligatory alms seeking.
Help me, I'm poor.
If you enjoy the channel, please consider supporting Cult of the Almighty Dollar on Patreon. There are free and paid tiers available, and by subscribing, you'll be helping ensure that I have enough serotonin stored to stay sober long enough to make another video. Anyway, ChatGPT's potential 10x stock picks were SoundHound, Duolingo, quantum computing, EVgo, and Archer Aviation. Today is July 23rd, and I have to admit that I've already been kinda eyeballing SoundHound because it looks like it's floating near what appears to be resistance. I feel like there's also a good amount of hype around this company, both online and among institutional investors, so I decided to bravely ape into 25 shares. I'm not going to do this on the public portfolio because I don't want to look like an ass if this thing tanks in a month, but paradoxically, playing it safe so I don't look bad has meant that the public portfolio is underperforming my personal gambling portfolio pretty noticeably at this point. Fuck! I guess the takeaway is that I need to embrace my inner degenerate more. Now right off the bat, let me just say that EVgo seems like the worst pick on this list. To be frank, I've already lost enough money holding ChargePoint last year, so I'm not even going to include this one in today's video, because if you want to make a move in this space, I honestly still think ChargePoint would be the better pick. But you know, not like it really matters because these two stupid stocks are pretty strongly correlated anyway. Now let's go ahead and speedrun some due diligence for the rest of ChatGPT's stock picks. I like SoundHound because it's a pretty accessible AI hype stock trading for $11 a share, so it's easy to load up on 100 shares and immediately short the bejesus out of it via covered calls. Because if you're a degenerate gambler like I am, shorting the hell out of a stock you just bought can be a great substitute for doing actual due diligence. But in all seriousness, they've got an impressive array of partnerships with companies like Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz, White Castle, among many others. So if they can manage to execute, I think there's a decent addressable market for this company, which might justify its current price.
Shut up and take my money!
The problem with SoundHound is that they're competing with bigger companies with deeper pockets, like Amazon's Alexa and Google's Voice Assist. So their AI voice solutions need to be better than those offered by some of their bigger competitors. Here's a possible worst-case scenario. They get gobbled up by Google and assimilated into their Cronenbergian other bets portfolio. My personal verdict is I would trade this one versus owning it, but let me know what you think. Duolingo is the only one on this list that actually has a positive net income. Wow, positive earnings? Imagine that. In addition to that, they've had an impressive amount of growth quarter on quarter. Duolingo's best known for teaching languages, but apparently it can also teach you to play chess, which I didn't know. So they do appear to be expanding their scope into areas outside languages. EdTech is a pretty great business because it's generally very scalable. As you can see, they've managed to get their operating margins in the black as they've grown their business over the past few years. As of today, it appears to have dipped pretty hard, so if you have some spare cash to throw around, this could be a good place to park some money. Just be careful because the put-call ratio is looking pretty busted on this stock right now, and it's also trading right in the middle of its 52-week range. So personally, I don't like this one enough right now to give it a YOLO rating. Nor do I think it'll 10x in the next 5 years. I.e., I disagree with ChatGPT on this one. I think it's a decent stock, but it's not one I would want to risk overpaying on. Quantum computing is a hype cycle waiting to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. The problem I see with this is that if you buy now, you might be early. Like, way too early. QUBT was recently added to the Russell 2000, which is good for institutional visibility. But at this stage, I don't think it'll do much besides pad out one of Cathie Wood's bullshit innovation ETFs. It's going to be a while before quantum computing is commercially viable, and when that day comes, this stock might blow up. So it's a decent suggestion by ChatGPT, at least I think the industry's decent. But rather than trying to pick the winner, I honestly think you'd be better off allocating 2 to 5% of your portfolio to a quantum computing index, because right now all these companies are still in the hemorrhaging cash phase. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even understand how regular computers work, so I don't even know where to begin doing DD for emerging tech like this. The elder god of capitalism himself says that diversification is for people who don't know what they're doing. And he's exactly right, which is why I'm just gonna buy some quantum computing funds. That'll hopefully give me enough exposure to whichever one of these companies ends up becoming the next Amazon. If not, I'll be posted up at the usual spot. Archer is kind of interesting because it has a few different addressable markets ranging from commercial taxi services to defense. And given that we live in a constant state of war, or what some might call defense, I feel like the Pentagon would definitely want to get its hands on any shiny new toys that are available, courtesy of the private sector. And Archer's got some pretty cool toys. On the commercial side, I think aerial taxis might be a little gimmicky. I would think this is a market that's limited to a relatively small subset of people that frequently commute to work via air. And I think that subset of people is getting even smaller now that we have practical alternatives like Zoom and Teams. But you know what? Maybe they can induce some unnecessary demand with flashy marketing and by lobbying the government to defund public transit more than they already have. So there's still potentially a decent market for its products, assuming they're able to execute. My verdict is that this stock could potentially have a long runway of growth ahead of it. Well, not really a runway because, their planes take off vertically. I'm sorry, that's a terrible joke. Did I mention they don't make any fucking money at all? If you want to ape into this stock, you're taking your life into your own hands, my friends. They're also not the only game in town. And when it comes to weird Jetsons adjacent tech like this, I'd almost rather throw a few bucks into an ETF and call it a day. Let me know what you think about these stock picks, and remember, if you destroy your life by buying any of these, you can blame Sam Altman. Don't shoot the messenger, ladies and gentlemen. Take care of yourselves, drink plenty of water, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
What would you say you do here?
I gotta get out of here. I think I'm gonna lose it.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
I sentence you to the Home for Criminally Insane Humans.
Your Honor, that facility has been full ever since you ruled that being poor is a mental illness.
Order! Order! The only poor people I want to hear about are the people who tend to my paws at the spa.